They say it's terrorism, that's political malarkey. Just follow where the money goes to a corporate oligarchy. The food crops they once grew with a plow and a hoe been turned into opium poppies, growing row on row. Our infrastructure's crumbling, our social structure too. It's a corporate scam, they don't give a damn while screwing over me and you.
Do you have a paranormal story you want to share on Night Dreams Talk Radio? You could be a guest. Email us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
And we are back. I tell you what, we had a piece of malfunction already. James, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I hear you fine. Constance, are you still with us?
I'm here.
Yeah. Well, you know what happened, guys? I worked on the studio, and I am colorblind. There was a second wire. It was brown, plugged in where a red wire should be. And that's why we lost the one channel. I apologize to everybody out there. But you're there, James, and Constance there. Now, do you have any questions for Constance, James?
Yeah, I got a couple. So you think that the aliens that were there on Apollo 11 when we came there, they actually communicated and had a conversation with the astronauts?
I don't believe that they had a conversation with them. What seemed to have been eluded from those guys, from the astronauts, was just their position, the way that they were seemed to be just looking and positioning themselves. I would like to, let me read to you what I wrote here, okay? I have an entry that says warned off the moon, and it is said that the reason that the Apollo program ended was because the astronauts were warned off the moon by extraterrestrials. These otherworldly beings are believed by some to have been encountered by Apollo astronauts and conveyed that the Earthlings were not welcome and were not to return. How they conveyed it, they didn't say, but I'm going to keep reading. This event is believed by many in the UFO community to have been during the Apollo 11 mission. Some believe that Neil and Buzz were confronted by extraterrestrials. It is said that when they were told to leave and never to return, It still doesn't say if it was telepathic or if they were pointing guns at them, But that was apparently the impression that they got. It says, this reportedly occurred during the infamous 2-minute loss of radio signal where the astronauts were transmitting to Earth while the public listened, and then nothing came from the astronauts for 2 minutes. After Apollo 11, NASA did send astronauts to the moon for several more missions, although it has been said that they went back each time for a short time, just long enough to take samples from the moon and leave. I'll just finish here. It says the last mission, the Apollo 17 mission, was the last of the NASA trips to the moon. According to the story, the moon inhabitants considered the astronauts to be trespassers. Conspiracy theorists believe that this is the reason the remaining missions, Apollos 18 through 20, were canceled. There is also a story that has been circulated that not only were the astronauts warned off the moon, but they were escorted off. According to this mysterious tale, there is a photograph with a craft hovering above the moon's surface watching the astronauts. So it seemed to be obvious to the astronauts that they were not welcome. But, there is not a lot of detail as to how that was conveyed.
Now, there's also a theory or a rumor that we continued to go to the moon throughout the late 70s. Is there any, did you ever have any theories or stories or validity to that?
That we went to the moon?
Yeah.
Are you speaking,
it was
are you talking about clandestine missions that were reportedly kept from the public?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any much information on that. It's all rumor. that there were these missions that went up. There was a rumor that there were missions that went up because they did believe there were extraterrestrials up there, and they wanted to, get some evidence, take pictures, what have you. But I don't have any proof of that. Just hearsay. Not that this is a concrete proof, but at least with this information, I have sources. I have the NASA websites. I have quotes from officials, but I don't have anything to back that up.
Well, Constance, have you looked at any of the photographs that are available on the backside of the moon? And I tell you, I have been looking at some for the last few days, and it's really interesting. I don't think the technology, some of it, couldn't have been ours. It's technology. I just think it's way advanced in ours. But again, I don't know. It tells me that something is going on the moon.
Oh, there's definitely something going on the moon. I didn't start out with thinking about this much. I just was interested in the moon. But, after reading all of the tales about the structures, there are a lot of structures and constructions up there that cannot be explained. And especially after looking at, like I said before, the tales of lights at the craters. Oh, there's so much information. There's so much busyness going on in those craters with the lights and, like I said, things appearing and disappearing. Something's going on. Someone's doing it. We just don't know who. Oh, and there is. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the far side, but I wanted to get into the moon also being a foreign country. Some people refer to the moon as a foreign country, meaning that it does not belong to us. It belongs to someone else. So foreign country is a term used to imply that the moon is a nation of its own, where there are extraterrestrials living that have no connection to Earth. The belief that the moon is inhabited and belongs to someone else dates back centuries. There were many philosophers in the past who believed that there was life on the moon, and I won't go into all of the names. In more recent times, people also espouse the idea of the moon being populated by ETs. Some believe that these lunar people are the descendants of advanced beings that originally brought the moon into our solar system, purposely placing it in Earth's orbit. In an article written by author Steve Omar titled Moon and Mars, The Moon is a Foreign Nation, he ponders, could it be that the moon is a foreign country and someone else's property, and the moon's government does not want us coming up and invading their territory with our nuclear weapons, pollution, unwelcome military facilities, diseases, litter, mining exploitation, and historically proven record of foreign imperialism? So the idea is that there could be beings living on the moon that have been there all along, that are advanced enough to watch us and know that they want nothing to do with us, and that no, the moon is not Earth's property. It does not belong to Earth. I find that extremely interesting. There is no reason in the world to think that, we are the only beings in space. And, as I was telling my family one evening, it didn't take us very far, we didn't go far to find that out, to learn that. It took us just, as soon as we got out there, we learned that we are not alone.
Well, people are naive, or some people are naive. They say that we're the only humanoids, period. But if you really look at the galaxies, solar systems, there's so many of them, so many planets that are, maybe livable on to our life, but who knows to other lives what planet would be required for them. But the thing is, we're not the only people in the camp. That's it. I mean, there's other creatures out there. Are they more advanced than us? Probably are. And maybe they've been watching us for a long time. One thing I was mentioning before I brought you on, have you ever noticed almost twice, 3 times a week, there's an asteroid going past Earth that, maybe now isn't threatening Earth, but could in 100 years or 40 years hit Earth? Back 2 months ago, there was an asteroid that was so close that they said, well, it's still not going to hit Earth. It's between the moon and the Earth. So this time around, it won't hit what it did hit. It hit the Mediterranean. That kind of scared me because that showed me that our technology isn't, even for monitoring these asteroids, very accurate. But if you think about the moon, okay, it has a lot of craters like you wouldn't believe, but don't you think that we would be hearing about asteroids hitting the moon? Wouldn't there be videos from telescopes and photographs from telescopes showing asteroids hitting the moon? And we're not seeing that. Isn't that kind of strange?
I think it's strange. Do you think that you're saying there's a cover-up?
I just don't think they're...
Or you think that the ETs that are up there that have the technology to divert them?
Probably. I would think so, because if you look at the structures on the backside of the moon, they would be susceptible to getting hit by not just asteroids, but rocks and everything. As my guest said on Thursday, is there an atmosphere on the moon? Is there maybe oxygen on the moon? We're told it's not, but maybe we've been lied to.
Oh, okay. So they have found that there is a scant atmosphere, not enough for us to live on up there. And there have been contactees, and I don't bring up the contactees very often because people, they think they don't have a title, they made it up. But there have been a couple that claim to have, gone to the moon and witnessed an atmosphere and vegetation. There is one astronaut that painted, I think it was Bean, who did paintings and painted, color on the moon, and there's thought that it's not just a sandy colored, dead looking rock, that there's actually color up there. And that there is an atmosphere up there. So if you read some of the stuff from the contactees, it's very, very interesting. They're saying, there's definitely something going on. I saw it. I went. I was taken up, and there's more, to it than we are being told and led to believe. I believe them. I believe that, some of us have experiences that are unexplainable. I believe that, there are beings, advanced beings, that have come into Earth's atmosphere to help us, to stop us from blowing each other up, to stop us from destroying all life on the planet. So I believe that these same beings can, take someone for a ride. Why not? We are a very young race, the human race. If you look at the time that we've been in existence, it's short, and there are certainly is the possibility in my mind that there can be beings that are eons of years old that have progressed, and in our minds would almost be godlike. So, they're out there. I believe that they try to come and educate, humans. I believe that there are some people that they've made contact with, and I believe that they may have gone on a trip and seen some things. But, no one's going to believe them.
No, that's the whole problem. And again, too, I believe that there is beings, maybe beings that would maybe not help us, but kind of give us some information. And then I think there's some beings out there that only think about themselves and maybe look at us as nothing more than cattle, because there's so many of humans every year disappearing unaccountable for. The FBI says between 50 and 60,000 disappear in the United States alone every year, not related to